I'd like to move to the next item on the agenda, which is a presentation by New Brunswick Power Corporation on Fire Protection Program upgrade to standard CSA N293-07 as outlined in CMD 14-M7 and M7.A. And I understand that Mr. Granville will make this presentation. The floor is yours.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, for the record, my name is Sean Granville. I'm the Site Vice President and Chief Nuclear Officer of Point Lepreau Generating Station. We're pleased to be here today to provide a brief update on the Lepreau Fire Protection Program upgrade to the CSA standard N293-07. So while New Brunswick Power has had a fire protection program that's contributed to the safe operation of the station since it started up in 1982, there's been considerable change to the standards related to fire protection for CANDU plants, outlined in CSA N293 and the associated codes referenced in this standard. Consistent with our commitment to safety and continuous improvement, NB Power is committed to the implementation of CSA N293-07 by the end of 2014. N293 is a very extensive standard and impacts many aspects of the analysis, plant design, operation, maintenance, training, and emergency response related to personnel and nuclear safety and equipment protection. I'll now turn the presentation over to Paul Thompson, Manager of Performance Improvement and Regulatory Affairs, to discuss the project progress.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Thank you, Mr. Granville. For the record, my name is Paul Thompson. Due to the extensive nature of the standard, the work to implement N293-07 has been underway for several years. Prior to return to service at the end of the refurbishment outage, the nuclear significant aspects were evaluated and, where necessary, clear actions raised to ensure mitigating actions were completed. Where compliance could not yet be achieved, compensatory measures were implemented to meet the intent of the standard and to ensure an acceptable level of risk until permanent solutions could be implemented. The resolution of all currently implemented compensatory measures is included within the detailed actions of the overall project and will ensure compliance with CSA N293-07 is achieved by December 31st, 2014, as per the conditions set out in the License Condition Handbook. In order to ensure this condition is met, NB Power implemented a detailed project which includes all necessary actions and detailed schedules to ensure that each requirement of CSA N293-07 has been evaluated and addressed. This also includes the many requirements contained in the referenced codes and standards within CSA N293-07, such as the National Building Code of Canada, the National Fire Code of Canada, and various National Fire Protection Association standards. All clauses of N293-07 have been assessed in detail, and a report has been produced detailing the results of this assessment. For those clauses where compliance is currently achieved, the basis for that conclusion, by referencing station documents, has been recorded. Likewise, for those clauses where compliance could not be demonstrated, an evaluation has been completed and clear actions established to ensure compliance. The resultant compilation of the compliance assessment, actions, and demonstrated evidence forms a closure report which will be used to track and ultimately demonstrate that compliance to CSA N293-07 has been achieved. The project team is composed of a cross-functional team made up of senior leaders headed up by the Director of Projects at the Point Lepreau Generating Station. Oversight of the project is provided by a senior-level steering committee as well as other off-site oversight groups. This slide identifies 5 key areas covered in the standard and thus included in the project. The analysis aspects includes upgrades to the fire hazard assessment and a new requirement of 2007 version of the code, a fire safe shutdown analysis. Together, These analyses assess the consequence of potential fires and demonstrate the ability to maintain safe conditions. Outputs from these analyses can factor into the need for additional design changes to the plant, along with requirements that need to be built into the operational program and processes. Where necessary, specific technical assessments are also performed to demonstrate compliance with certain clauses of the standard. With respect to design, requirements are either explicitly identified in the standard or are an outcome from the analyses identified above and address requirements for areas such as emergency lighting, power supplies, safe egress routes, alarms and notifications, barriers, detection and suppression systems. These improvements can be as simple as adding additional sprinklers in a particular room, to installing state-of-the-art very early detection and infrared smoke detection system in specific areas. In a number of instances, the original systems in place to provide this protection do not meet the more modern requirements and needed to be upgraded. With respect to the operational program, improvements have been developed in the industry to reduce or eliminate fire risks from combustible materials and required station activities such as welding, grinding, and handling and storage of flammable materials. These improvements are widespread among station activities and processes and require assessment and development to ensure implementation and controls are thorough, consistent, and effective. Key upgrades to the process of impairment control, which is how fire systems are required to be taken out of service and managed and compensated for, are also included in this project. The testing program for various fire system components also had to be extended to meet the current standards. As many station activities have some aspects related to fire protection, a training needs assessment for these activities was required to ensure that staff have the appropriate training and/or qualification. The ability for effective manual intervention is an important element of the fire program. Fundamental to success is the assessment and documentation of high challenge areas, having detailed fire plans, and the appropriate equipment, training, drills, and evaluated exercises. This forms the basis of an effective emergency response team with the necessary equipment to address each of the specific scenarios. This is an extensive project involving over 50 plant modifications and over 150 documents that need to be revised, resulting in an overall capital cost of over $95 million and an operating maintenance cost of over $16 million. Some of the more notable items include the acquisition of 2 special fire trucks to be kept on site, along with a corresponding storage facility. There are also upgrades to a number of detection and suppression systems, emergency lighting, and notification systems. The replacement of the original part-time volunteer-style emergency response team with a dedicated full-time team was also a notable accomplishment. As I discussed on the last slide, the sheer size of the project poses a challenge for a small utility, and some of the design activities were postponed until additional specialized resources could be acquired. In addition, backfitting an existing plant can be difficult as modifications require extensive use of scaffolding, which can impact on station operation. Nonetheless, the project is in full swing and is well supported across the station. The written submission lists a number of the accomplishments made to date. Some of the operational changes, required a major change in the way the day-to-day work is carried out, particularly in how material, both combustible and non-combustible, is stored and handled throughout the plant. As the requirements in the standard goes well beyond normal housekeeping, this transition was initially challenging and took several months for staff to completely internalize and successfully comply with the program. The initial challenges in this area were observed by the CNSC staff during their field inspections. Similar to our observations, these have shown significant improvement with time. We will use the lessons learned when rolling out future program enhancements. While one of our successes was the establishment of a dedicated full-time emergency response team, we experienced some difficulties with the shift schedule that was adopted. We are in the process of establishing a new shift schedule that will provide for a regular, dedicated training period. This will allow for more training and drill time and reduce the amount of extra hours the team is required to work. To keep CNSC staff abreast with progress on the project, regular update meetings take place. In addition to these meetings and written submissions, the closure report will be updated on a periodic basis. This will link the completion of specific project activities to the closure of specific N293-07 clauses. Final submission of the closure report is scheduled for later this fall. I will now turn the presentation back to Mr. Sean Granville for some concluding remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. For the record, my name is Sean Granville, Site Vice President for Point Lepreau Generating Station. We trust this update has been useful in providing an update on the work to improve the fire protection program at Point Lepreau Generating Station. We are confident that we will achieve compliance with CSA Standard 293-07 prior to the end of 2014. We'd be pleased now to take any questions from the Commission.
Thank you.